Hey, everybody, there's this idea that the dream of building a bulk terminal in Oakland is essentially dead, as opposed to the truth that it's not. Nothing has fundamentally changed. We're in the middle of a pandemic. But what's unfortunate, except in the case of what has been good for my media company, Zenny 62 Media, is the number of media outlets that first say, we're journalists and we tell both sides, right? But then prove in the content that they produce that they're only telling one side, which is the side that wants what it perceives fossil fuels to be to go away and be replaced by what it perceives cleaner energy to be. Note how I very carefully issued those words. The fact of the matter is that because we're in the middle of a pandemic, consumption of traditional energy sources has reduced dramatically to a point where the once much lower use of renewable energies, without going up that much, was made to look like it was increasing dramatically. It's not the case at all. What will happen is, as we recover as a society and we go back to the drive from A to B, habits we have established for ourselves to go to restaurants and certain shops, the traditional energy sector will rebound, not to the same rate, because one new way of behavior that we learn as a society is something that was once characterized, many years ago, heck, over a decade ago, I think, on something called Ed TV with Matthew McConaughey. Or in another example where a fellow decided to see if he could actually live online and stay entirely in his home and never leave. That event that I just recited to you is, I believe, roughly 13 to 14 years old. Now, everybody is doing that. And because everyone's doing it now, there are advantages to that way of behavior, if you will, they're not going to go away. They have cost advantages, and that gets to my next point. Natural energy is cheaper. The talk should be, and the media should be talking about, and the Sierra Club should be leading the charge on how to make traditional energy cleaner, not get rid of it. Because to get rid of one type of energy means you have to kick someone out of their jobs. I think we've had quite enough of that. And it's that very process I described to you that will block any transition to cleaner energy. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm going to say it until the cows come home and thereafter. Even if we get to zero emissions, it will not stop climate change. Why? Because climate change is based on the constant addition of people on this planet. Why do you think Elon Musk keeps saying we've got to work on getting off this rock? Where to? He thinks Mars. We have to terraform Mars. That's another discussion. But for the present, the Sierra Club, which just issued the latest article or a post or whatever they call it, I prefer to refer to these things as posts. I'll call theirs a post too, on the Oakland coal situation. It's just writing gleefully that, oh, this is great, and Autumn Wind is not going to produce anything that's coal related. They have no freaking idea what JMB Properties, which really is the organization that owns Autumn Wind Media, is going to do. To say that the idea of hauling coal or iron ore or sulfur is dead is stupid. The Sierra Club has consistently been on a side that is arguably anti-black, anti-basic jobs, and anti-union. For some particular reason, Oakland elected officials have adopted their friends to the north, near north, more immediate north in the East Bay, and decided they would be shaking boots fearful of the Sierra Club. I say you should fight against the Sierra Club with economic development, because the Sierra Club has shown zero interest in developing jobs for people who are impacted by change in basic industry, including fossil fuels. It's like they glee. This is how bad it is in their glee to state this idea that their view is the right view when their view seems more like the classically white view. If you type Sierra Club and blacks or African Americans in a Google search, one of the pages you'll find is one that reads like this, and I kid you not: Black Lives Matter and environmentalists. Okay, Black Lives Matter 101 told to environmentalists. Think about what I just told to you. Black Lives Matter, which is about African Americans, told to environmentalists, and it's meant to present this dichotomy that environmentalists are essentially not black. Think about it. That's the Sierra Club nomenclature, written by a guy who was trying to say all the right words, like, hey, this is something we have to talk about, and this is what white privilege is all about, and all this. Trying to do all the right things, but basically just making him all of these errors of institutional racism. I mean, he just can't help it, because there was nobody there to call him on it within the Sierra Club. That's why that publication, that page, got out there the way that it did. Remember, the Sierra Club was founded by white supremacists, people who believed in eugenics, who believed that people who had skin not like mine were just better. All right? And the remnants of that thinking still exists within the Sierra Club, and it comes pouring out in web presentations again and again and again. It's awful. The Sierra Club needs an overhaul, but I digress. The simple fact of the matter is this: what we need is a comprehensive economic development plan for Oakland that doesn't call for somebody to be pushed out of their jobs. Even the natural gas regulation law that says you can't have natural gas in new buildings, residential or commercial, didn't even stop to think, well, gee, you know what? Electric power is more expensive and has been, and California has one of the highest rates for electric power in the country. Wouldn't it be better then to have an exemption for affordable housing units, which would then cause an incentive for the creation of more affordable housing units? You know, we live in a society where, this is a momentary aside, it seems like our elected officials don't want to do anything to get people out of their monetary doldrums. They just want to allow the market to continue to collapse, and as long as those people who have enough money scream the loudest that everything is okay, guess what? No real change happens. Oh yeah? We are setting up the underpinnings of our economic disaster. We are going the way of decline of the great nations, the standard way of decline. And one example, and one part of it, is our willingness to tell others that they can't have certain jobs, and they can't basically at all enjoy certain types of manufacture. Rather than saying no, why won't the Sierra Club and certain people in the city of Oakland and the region figure out how to get to yes? You get to yes by providing incentives and technology for traditional energy organizations to become cleaner. You don't try to take their money away from them. You don't try to destroy them. I don't know how else to get that picture through, but I'll keep talking about it. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.